Welcome to You and Aya, the human experience. I'm your host, Aya, and I will be taking you on a journey of self-discovery through personal experiences. This podcast was created in hopes to give you a fresh perspective on life and to expand your beliefs that no matter what, you are in charge of your own life and your own success. In the pilot Unfold, I shared with you the overall idea of why this podcast was created. In this chapter, I would like to move forward and talk about the core idea of what this podcast will carry. What will you be expecting while you listen? And how might I be an expander for you and your journey? In brief, this podcast is about legacy fulfillment. I know you are thinking, you're going to help me fulfill my legacy and you know nothing about me? This is the thing. It is true. I know nothing about you. Yet I do know one thing. You and I are more alike than you choose to believe. Or maybe we choose to forget that we are. You and I, we are humans with emotions. We were once babies that needed help with everything essential to grow and survive. Later, we became kids that only took orders from our caregivers and followed the rules. We grew into our teenage years where we are still seen as kids, but expected to act like adults. Our parents did what they thought was best for us in every aspect and decision of our lives. Then, we became adults that have been perfectly molded by false conditioning, habits, thoughts, and beliefs that were handed down to us, or should I say, forced upon us. The majority of the time, we wonder why we feel as though there's something missing no matter what we do. This feeling that we cannot take charge of our own lives. We are torn between following societal norms and rules because it's all we know, and between carving our own path, which most of us don't do because of fear or comfort. We go through the motions of life on autopilot, and we think we will crash straight to our death if we decided to switch off this button. So, let's try again. This podcast focuses on how you can fulfill your legacy. And I know I can be your expander because, well, I just told you, we were once babies. Or should I go through that again? Maybe you can just rewind. And before I dive in, I want to add that what works for me to fulfill my legacy might not work for you. Why? Although yes, it is true we are connected by the human experience, yet we are different due to our culture, religion, upbringing, socioeconomic status, demographics, trauma, triggers, personal experiences, etc. And all these aspects combined give us our own unique perspective of ourselves and the world around us. But still, I am here to tell you there is a common human experience that I would love to talk about, and I feel like it's necessary to acknowledge so you and I can get closer to our legacy, and that, my friend, is dissatisfaction, in particular, a dissatisfaction within you and I. Let me explain what I mean when I talk about dissatisfaction. I will use a simple example to help get my point across. I always like to give the example of dieting because I feel like it's most relatable. Let's say you want to start a diet. Maybe for you this diet is to feel healthy or better about yourself in general. But for me, it is about losing excess weight, or maybe it is simply about getting ready for a certain occasion. The reason you are doing the diet is different compared to mine, right? Let's say to achieve these goals, you decide to eat less portions. But for me, it is to spend more time at the gym or maybe do intermittent fasting. You see, the reasons you and I want the diet and how we go about the diet are different. You are doing what feels best for you mentally and what works best for you physically. There isn't an order. And the process lasts as long as you are willing to put in the work. Consistency. Reaching your legacy is the same thing. It is a journey and a habit. And to your acknowledgement, you are fully in charge. Easy example, right? Let's go deeper. It is true that we have different reasons for starting the diet and how we go about it. But when you zoom in, you will realize that there is a common essential belief, a motive to why you and I are driven to start this diet in the first place. There is something in our core that is dissatisfied, either by the way we look, feel, or fit. This motive that was triggered by dissatisfaction within is a mutual feeling that isn't being shared amongst us. It is too taboo because being vulnerable and admitting that you are dissatisfied with yourself and make it known to others is hard. And you know how the ego stands in the way. And this goes on infinite levels of scenarios, not just physical. Can you imagine how hard it is to go up to someone? And for some reason, it's even harder if it's someone that matters the most to you, to look them in the eyes and say, hey, I want to change. I need help, or I need to work on myself. Or to even admit that to yourself, man, that takes a lot of courage. So this trapped feeling, this dissatisfaction, this disapproval of how you feel about yourself or about things in your life is now trying to surface. It's escaping. It's giving you this hint. It's this motive again about how you want to start the diet because you aren't satisfied by the way you feel, look, or fit. And it's making you feel discomfort and you aren't able to confront it because you've let it simmer for a long time. A very long time. You are unfamiliar with the techniques of solving from the core, but rather fixing just the surface. Instead of starting a lifestyle, you choose a diet. Instead of trying to understand what's going on with you, you seek distractions. Instead of communicating what's on your mind, you walk away. Instead of working out, you take a pill for weight loss, plus diet and exercise. It becomes a cycle of choosing temporary fulfillment, and on the long run, these feelings will keep appearing in different forms and shapes. It starts to reflect the relationship you have with yourself, your significant other, your family members at work, how you perceive the world around you. You start projecting these feelings in uncomfortable situations. Well, you get the point. This feeling of dissatisfaction will surface non-stop unless you take charge. And to do that, you will have to accept and be aware of the situations that make you feel dissatisfied and harnessed to false notions. Speaking of diet, I think I'm going to head over to the coffee house and grab myself a cromlet. In case you're wondering what a cromlet is, it is the best invention out there. It's a croissant dough with eggs and cheese in it, and some of them come in different flavors like bacon, sausage, ham, potato, and even spinach. It's flaky and fluffy, and it's the best thing you can have as a breakfast meal. And of course, you can only find it at the coffee house here in downtown Lincoln, Nebraska on P Street. Keyword of the day is Mark. Since he invented the cromlet and it's trademark for Mark Schreiner himself, the owner of the coffee house, make sure to whisper the name Mark at the counter and get yourself 50% off your cromlet. And you can thank me later. Now let's take a step back. I want you to pause and reflect on how many times in your life have you started a New Year's resolution and then quit after a few weeks? How many times have you decided to go on a diet, then stopped when you reached that small part of your goal, or even stopped way before you got close to it? How many times have you said you will stop scrolling on social media once it hits 11 o'clock, but then it's 11:08 and you decided to keep going until it hits 11:15 and the cycle continues? We've all been there. How many times have you decided to stop drinking, but then you'd go to a social event and say you'd have one drink, but then end up with more? Pause for just a second and think about something that you truly have been wanting to achieve for a while, but have never accomplished simply because you wanted the results now. And because of that, you get bored of the process and quit. I mean, life is too short, right? Enjoy that drink. You might as well just eat that burger. You might as well just scroll. What's the harm? Relatable? Can you think of a time where you felt complete dissatisfaction about where you are in life? Can you name few motives that you've decided to act on because you wanted to turn your life around? Have you ever had the courage to admit to yourself or to anyone else that you want to change or do the work or to be a better version of yourself? This, my friend, is where your journey to fulfill your legacy begins. Obviously not by starting a diet. This is merely a small sample for you to grasp the bigger picture, but by pausing and acknowledging that there are things about your life, and especially about yourself, that you are dissatisfied with. This dissatisfaction is found in you and I. This dissatisfaction is all around us. We see it and live it in our day-to-day routine, in our jobs, our family dynamics, our relationships, our communities, and particularly in ourselves. And trust me when I say, keeping an open mind and understanding that what you see others doing isn't always going to work for you will do you wonders. Stop being a follower and stop comparing yourself to others. Now the real question is, can you name your dissatisfactions? Life is many things, yet there is one thing you and I can agree on. Life is unfair. By accepting that, you will allow yourself to welcome your reality, and from there, fight the norms and be true to yourself. Welcome to you and Aya, the human experience. Are you ready to fulfill your legacy? As promised, I'll be releasing a new chapter every Thursday. Next week's chapter is titled Redesign. Thank you so much for following my journey. I hope it's been to your liking so far. And of course, special thanks to the Coffee House for sponsoring my podcast. Until next time.